What's going on, fellow A-Plusters? It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, back once again with another Don Brothers review, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're going to be getting into episode number 18 as we play a little bit of catch-up here for you guys, as today we had the debut of Murasame. That's right, guys, the evil Purple Ranger, it certainly looks like. And I'm so glad that we got ourselves yet another edition. Listen, we're already dealing with Momotaro and his crazy ass as the Sixth Ranger, and now we got ourselves a mysterious evil ranger in Murasame, certainly making their presence, and quite an interesting one to certainly say the least also. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely maybe had some expectations to see a little bit more from Murasame here in this episode, but there's plenty more time in this season to certainly go ahead. But it definitely opened up a bunch of new questions and new mysteries as we get to see the sword, or I should say the Murasame that we saw trapped inside of the containment unit in the previous episode, escaping in the form of a sword, going through the digital world and arriving here on Earth, if you will, getting the opportunity to kind of hear some different voices. It feels like we've got this overarching entity talking to us that refers to itself as Mother. It also sounds as like in responses to things that Mother is telling us, we've got a little bit of a female voice going on here, but yet at the same time, it feels like Murasame, the actual physical embodiment of this character, feels very much more like a masculine guy, if you ask me, or at least just, you know, just a guy in general. His voice, I can't remember if we've heard him talk or maybe some of his grunts and stuff. I mean, for the most part, he's relatively quiet in here, but he definitely comes across as a guy in the suit, yet we've also got two different female voices talking to us. So there is a part of me that wonders if even his sword might have a little bit of a personality and a mind of its own. So I do wonder if there are times when it's Murasame talking, or is it his sword? This is just me speculating because we didn't really get any answers. Just really the introduction to a brand new villain, certainly worth being concerned about, and really getting an opportunity to see just the type of fight that this character is certainly going to put up to the Don brothers. Even really kind of putting Don Momotaro a little bit against the wall and kind of surprising him also. I really enjoy even like the shark motif that we wind up having for him, his little theme, the idea that he can like dive into the ground and pop up and use that sort of as attacks. I even really appreciated the cool little Jaws reference, or at least seeing his sword utilized as like the fin of a shark, like it's coming to hunt you down sort of thing. So really creative stuff when it comes to the Murasame character and how it's certainly being used, but plenty of questions to certainly ask, because we wind up seeing Sononi here clearly recognizing Don Murasame, realizing that he's probably escaped, why the Cerebrains had him captured in the first place. Were they doing experiments on Don Murasame? Who certainly knows. But I will also go ahead and throw out the idea that I really appreciated the sword's debut and when it arrives to Earth, implanting itself sort of inside of a piece of stone in an alleyway. It just really had that very Arthurian sort of like King Arthur type of relation there, in a sense of like kind of having to pull the sword from a stone type of thing. So I was actually really hoping that somebody would discover the sword and then maybe turn into Murasame, but unfortunately we didn't necessarily get that. So a little bit bummed that while they certainly teased the concept of like King Arthur and pulling the sword from the stone, they really didn't do too much with it, because we do see the sword itself sort of leave on its own, along with collecting some electricity. I would assume to definitely go ahead and power it up. So it definitely, why does it feel like when it comes to water themes for our Rangers, water seemingly always goes with electricity? I feel like a lot of the past Water Rangers, that's been sort of their MO in regards to their energy. Like for some reason, Kanalo from Rio Soldier comes to mind when I think of that in regards to a Sixth Ranger, water themed, and his power is really like electricity, it feels like. So interesting in regards to Murasame, but hell of a debut and really great first impression towards the Don brothers. I even really appreciated the fact that he had a little bit of an alter change mode himself, getting to go ahead and turn into a shark, and definitely his alter change mode feels like the weaker of his two forms, as both Don Momotaro and Don Dragoku change into their alter forms and really hand Murasame his first defeat, if you will, as he winds up sort of escaping and getting out of there. So definitely not the last time that we've seen Murasame. Just from the previews alone, it looks like he's going to be popping up in episode number 19. But again, I definitely have a lot of questions in regards to its connection to the Cerebrain world and just all the voices that we're certainly hearing. Who's talking? Where these voices certainly coming from? Definitely a lot of answers to certainly be a lot of questions to certainly be answered as we go along. Outside of that, you know, this episode was more fun than anything, at least for me, in regards to really sinking down into something totally serious. We've got some really great encounters in here, like Sononi and Momotaro having a little bit of a contest of their own. You know, Sonoi still certainly feeling some type of way about the idea that he kind of got the upper hand on Don Momotaro, but feels like he cheated, so he really wants to compete with him once again. And since they're both creatures that love to sort of help out humanity in any way possible, it's a pretty cool little challenge in the sense of, let's see who can help the most people. I feel like that's usually not contests that we see very often, but talk about really getting an opportunity to spread, you know, good vibes to everybody around, and certainly doing their part to help out. So it was a cool little combination between those two. See them kind of being competitive, but in the sense of like, oh, I'm gonna help this person first, sort of thing. So I really love the moments that we wind up getting. Even Sonoi calling himself a little bit of a fashionista on the world of Cerebrains, where he comes from the way that he certainly dresses and things like that. So again, for me, it's really cool to kind of continue to see their bond and really how much they truly do connect and have in common than the idea of them even being enemies to begin with, right? And I think now that Momotaro is back, I think Sonoi is just a very happy camper, and he's just really thrilled to certainly even be able to hang out with him from time to time. So I thought that little partnership was pretty cool, and one that I was really excited and kind of interested to see again was Tsubasa along with Sononi. We just saw them in the previous episode dealing with the concept and idea of love, especially when it comes to Natsumi, and we get Sononi dropping on in once again to talk with Tsubasa to kind of push the envelope again. And this time she really admits that, hey, I know we had ourselves a challenge in the previous episode, and you outright won. You beat me, right? So now that you've won, I'm willing to go ahead and give you anything that you certainly need. And with her hearing about how he lost Natsumi, this is what I was really hoping for, that maybe it's somebody like Sononi that can really either help him out, tell us as a viewer the much bigger picture here in regards to what's going to happen. Because this is her second time she's given him a warning that, hey, listen, if you go down this path, all hell's going to break loose, right? You're going to find yourself in a ton of pain. You really should take my help here. Whether or not we should certainly trust Sononi is a completely different thing, but I continue to love just the connection between these two, very similar to what we have with Sonoi along with Don Momotaro. But Sononi, she's so hot. I tell you, she's so hot. I don't know if it's the thigh-high stockings that's doing it for her, the way that she kind of talks to people. You know, for somebody that doesn't know love very well, she's very much the seductress, to certainly say the least, and definitely uses it to get her way 9 times out of 10. So the fact that you've got somebody like Tsubasa, where she clearly is either coming onto him or flirting with him to a certain extent, like trying to see what she can kind of get out of him type of thing, he's really kind of put up this wall. And for me, it almost feels like Sononi's either very much attracted to that, or she really wants to continue to push the envelope because maybe she loves him or wants to experience what that's like, and finds herself becoming more and more fond of Tsubasa. So I don't know where this is going when it comes to those two characters, but more of it, please. Absolutely more of it. But for me, the fun aspect of this episode really comes to the Don brothers and how they're handling things. You know, after we wind up seeing Momotane just show a completely different side of him, it's no surprise that the Don brothers in here don't trust this dude and just don't want him to be a companion at all. And despite the fact that majority of the companions feel this way, we do learn that Don Momotaro is like, look, I'm the one that has to make that decision. You guys don't get that choice, right? I'm the leader here, and I say that he certainly can continue to certainly be on this team. So we do have definitely different sides to things here, because I love the idea that on one side you've got the Don brothers that don't want anything to do with Momotani, and then when we do see Momotani, it's like he just continues to build on the red flags that we've seen him establish so far. Like this time in the sense of him just not being okay and comfortable with the idea of being just a companion. He's got to be more than that. And I don't know if that's a selfishness aspect of him, a greed aspect of him. This is the type of stuff that when it does get brought up and understanding the passions of human beings, well, even though I think Momotani is actually from a completely different dimension, so maybe things don't affect him that way. But I'm like, is a Hitatsuki about to be born from this guy also? But look, I feel like he's got a little bestial in him already, so maybe a Hitatsuki is something that we certainly don't have to worry about here. But the fact that he seemingly wants more and he's not okay with just being a companion, he wants to be either the leader of this team or very much on par and on the same level as Momotaro, and that's just not happening. But the challenge that comes out of this, in the sense of, if you can hit me, then I'll go ahead and put you on the same level. And it's not just a competition that is for Momotani. As the episode continues, we come to find out the Don brothers want a piece of this action also. I mean, can you imagine the idea of like being equivalent to that of Don Momotaro and being lifted up higher in the ranks, maybe as second in command of the companions or the team or whatever the case may be? Everybody was definitely in on this competition. And look, leave it up to Momotaro to not give them a sliver of a chance to certainly do it. I just really appreciated him always having an answer, always turning the table on his companions in here and forcing them to do his punishments. I mean, I don't care if it was a set of stairs, elevated steps, push-ups, sit-ups, jump ropes. I mean, he put them through the ringer. I think one of my funniest ones was Haruki, who, mind you, her entrance with the lightning and was talking about how her companions have fallen before her and she's the last one that can claim vengeance for their failings and stuff, right? I mean, they really hyped up Haruka's attempt in here, only to see it hilariously turned on her as she winds up getting punched in the face with like a little boxing glove she put inside of the box. But it's not even that. It's also the idea that we get to see Momotani already at the delivery station hiding inside of a box to try and get the upper hand. And then when we do see Haruka again on the ground, her leg is like all bent out of shape and stuff. I mean, the little hints of humor in here truly do go a long way. And I absolutely love the companions when it comes to Don Momotaro. They just got such great chemistry, and even to the point to where at the end, by the end of this episode, when the companions are extremely frustrated, they even get sort of like a weakness for Momotaro from Jin, in the sense of them bringing up, what is it, G, the rhinoceros beetle or something like that. I just love the fact that they, while they had an opening to get to Momotaro, the fact that they just could not pull the trigger, right? One, it did make me a little bit sad in the sense of seeing Don Momotaro at least learning, look, this guy has never had any friends. Like, the closest thing he's had to a friend is literally a rhinoceros beetle that ran away from him when he was younger, sort of thing, right? So the fact that he already misses the beetle, you're already lying to him, and you see like the hypeness, right? Like, you see how happy and excited Don Momotaro is that his friend is back and he's looking through the bushes. A part of me is like, oh, that's just like, I felt bad at the sense that like you had to lie to this man, get his hopes up, and his best friend isn't there. And I think there's a sliver of that too that the companions certainly felt. But I loved Haruka mentioning the sense that, look, we don't want to see this guy lose. And for me, it's kind of crazy as a viewer too, because usually when you get characters that are so overpowered, don't make any mistakes, are kind of flawless in a sense, right? They're just so perfect. They're usually called like Mary Sue's, or I don't know what the equivalent is to guys, right? And it's really kind of looked down upon for these characters to be so perfect. But I think as a viewer, I think we recognize that while Momotaro is very much like this perfect guy, or at least he certainly acts like it because he just knows everything, I think considering the fact that we also know sort of like the downside that comes along with his powers and his good fortune sort of thing, it's one of those things where we kind of don't want to see him lose, because I don't even know what would, I mean, look, the idea of seeing somebody like Sonoi take Don Momotaro out, even though I expected him to return, I felt some type of way about him being about him losing. I just think we have kind of come to the impression that once Don Momotaro's on the scene, he's gonna save the day, and he's gonna come in with his big festivities, right, and just bring a completely different vibe and good fortune to the whole entire scene. And to kind of see him lose, even if it's just something like a brief competition like this, especially to lose because you were lied to by your companions, I probably would have felt some type of way too if I was Haruka and the rest of the team. And it definitely continues to show just their admiration for this guy and just how special of a person that he certainly is, that his companions understand that and recognize that, and just don't really want to get the upper hand after all. And so for me, that honestly continues to speak volumes. Is one of the reasons why I love this show, why I love this team. Their chemistry is so great, and they've done a great job of building these characters to get to that point in time where it's just like everybody embraces Don Momotaro. Even Momotani, who wants his spot, realizes this is not the way to certainly go about doing it. So incredible storytelling. And again, it's one of those things, like, even this episode didn't feel overtly heavy in regards to story arc and things like that, more questions than answers, but it's really the character stuff that really went a long way, with some great humor in this episode also. But listen guys, action was on point. Great battle between Murasame along with Don Momotaro and the rest of the Don brothers in here, and I'm really eager to kind of see more of Murasame and that story certainly be cleared up a little bit, and hopefully get some answers in regards to it. But look guys, if there's anything in particular that I certainly missed, Easter eggs, character moments, storyline details that you want to go ahead and continue to talk about, please let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, because these are just simply my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours, so let your thoughts be known in the comment section, and we'll definitely go ahead and talk and communicate and discuss this episode until our next review winds up dropping, guys. So I'm in the process of playing catch up. Hopefully I'll have episode 19 drop for you guys this week as well. So thank you very much for certainly joining us, and I guess I will see you later. But in the meantime, do me a big favor, as always guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. Talk to you later. Bye.